What a road. It's like doing the Simpson Desert, and you can always depend on the old national parks for road conditions. Also, we aren't far from the American bombing range, so it's a bit unsettling. There are huge artillery fire all times of day and night. Located south of the main busy settlement of Coral Bay, there is Five Fingers Reef. And based on your situation and your vehicle, if you have a capable 4x4, let some air out of the tyres, follow the signs and take the sandy tracks out to the beach at Five Fingers Reef. Along with a snorkel at Five Fingers Reef, you can continue on the sandy track to Turtle Cliffs, where possibly you'll see many turtles, eagle rays, ospreys, and possibly even a feral goat, or two, or many. We left 14 Mile because the weather was horrific. We had rain and cold, blistery winds. So we decided that we were going to head inland. We headed to Carnarvon to stock up on some fuel and food before we headed out to the Kennedy Ranges, which is in the Gascoyne. It's a funny little town. It's a bit like some of the horticultural towns in Queensland. It's obviously based here because it's got adequate water, and otherwise it's still a red desert. It's got a rich history in transport of wool. They ran teams of camels to cart the huge bales from outlying stations. The camels could survive on vegetation, hobbled at night, and they were naturally adapted to the dry conditions. And they weren't fussy about water quality as were the horses and the donkeys. An interesting side note is that there were more cameleers of European ethnicity than there were cameleers from Pakistan, India, and Afghanistan that were involved in the camel haulage transport industry. In 1928, Charles Kingsford Smith gained worldwide fame for completing the first flight across the Pacific Ocean. But few know that his achievement was rooted in 2 years of Smithy spent in the Gascoyne area. In early 1924, 4 forward-thinking men established a trucking business in Carnarvon, intending to replace the dominant camel teams with trucks, which was a relatively new invention. This trail commemorates Smithy's mail run, highlighting his role in the early transport and communications in the region. Smithy and his mates believed this venture would fund their dream of an epic flight. They soon transported various supplies inland and hauled mail, sheep, cattle and wool from distant stations to the coastal ports and markets. Gascoyne Junction was named for its position at the junction of the Gascoyne and Lyons rivers. The Gascoyne River was named by explorer Lieutenant George Grey in 1839 and wasn't declared a town until 1897. On the 11th of December 2010, a monsoon trough developed northwest of Western Australia. The result was washing away of the town and several homesteads nearby, with the township described as an obliterated ghost town. Gascoyne Junction is now a centre for mining, pastoral and merino fine wool industries, also serving as the gateway to the nearby attractions such as Mount Augustus and Kennedy Range National Parks. And they have done an amazing job of rebuilding the town. It's such a pretty little town in a harsh environment. You know, most country towns have something that make them special. But this little town, it exhibits resilience, unity, pride, and friendliness, which makes it a very, very special little town. There was a time in history when Australia rode on the sheep's back. Drovers, shepherds and squatters moved their flocks along the great rivers of the Murchison and Gascoyne in search of water, pasture and space to settle. In the early 1920s, all transportation in the Gascoyne region relied on wagons pulled by horses or camels. No designated roads, just tracks. During the 1930s, the Great Depression, the government launched a large-scale Work for the Dolls scheme called sustenance programs, which included upgrading the mail road from Carnarvon to Bangmail Station, a massive labour-intensive project involving little more than picks, shovels and human effort. The result was to cobble the 298-kilometre road. We left Gascoyne Junction at 7:15 a.m, heading towards Kennedy Ranges, staying at Temple Gorge National Park campground. Starting at Temple Gorge campground, the first part is a grade 3 which leads to the rock face known as the temple. You can then take the right-hand track, grade 4, tougher, boulder-strewn, rock scramble, to a small seasonal rock pool beneath a seasonal waterfall.
I kind of thought it was a bit too easy for cut to deteriorate sooner or later. Sacred fly zone. Here we are with our 10 million friends. Oh, Roger.
You then return to the temple and take the left track, which is shorter but much the same terrain. Geologically fascinating is the whole area. It is basically sandstone, but it is impregnated with ironstone nodules that resemble dinosaur eggs. Draper's Gorge is a class 4. It's 2.5 kilometres hike, progressively harder than the other tracks, and features a series of seasonal waterfalls and rock pools along its length. You have to scramble up escarpment slopes of loose and crumbly rock and along ledges, but it's all worth it. In the geological features, they are absolutely mesmerising.
Oh, there's a possible fossil. Here's the remnants of the last people that did the walk. Flies devoured them in 24 hours. Yeah, I don't think we'll go for a swim in this one. Honeycomb Gorge is probably the best known of the gorges in the Kennedy Ranges. It's an easy but rocky track that leads you to the ancient amphitheatre, which does resemble honeycomb in appearance. The strange formations are due to millions of years of environmental conditions, of wind and rain. You stand, you take a deep breath, and you can't help but marvel at the honeycomb cavities that have been engraved into the cliff face by only nature's hand.